Michael Pittman Jr. Michael Pittman Jr. franchise tagged. Saquon Barkley not franchise tagged. One of the hottest free agent players to be brought into a new situation in 2024. We're going to talk about the landing spots for Barkley, for Henry. Where do we want Jacobs, Josh Jacobs in 2024? And Deebo Samuel looking for a home in Arizona. He's trying to come to Scottsdale in my backyard. Realtors tap in ASAP. Why is Deebo wanting to come to Arizona? We're going to break all this down and more. I don't know. I mean, hey, you can come in and say, Smitty, this is ridiculous. We're not trading Deebo. I'm a Niner fan. Blah, 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 blah. I mean, I'm not saying he's getting traded to the Arizona Cardinals, but there are a lot of trade rumors circling around about the Niners having cap hell and trying to figure out a way out. I don't know. You tell me. The Fantasy Football Show begins right now.
Live from the FantasyFootballShow.com studios. It's the Fantasy Football Show. Live! Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern. Smitty is also live whenever news breaks.
From the FantasyFootballShow.com news desk, here is your breaking news.
A lot to talk about today. Goodness gracious. Let's start off with Michael Pittman Jr. Boss Horn Deckard coming in with a $2 hauler to kick off the show. Appreciate you, Deckard. Deckard says, my main man, Smitty. What's up? You're my main man, Deckard. Appreciate you. Deckard to the moon. Michael Pittman Jr. franchise tag. Now, he's supposed to get a deal done still. Fully expect him to still sign a long-term deal with the Indianapolis Colts. This is done because they couldn't get the deal done in time. Both sides are pushing back. I don't know that they're extremely far apart from what I hear, but I do believe that it was not close enough to even let this thing extend out. They just decided, let's throw the tag on him a little bit early, a few hours early, and they did so. They'll work out a deal. I firmly believe they want him in Indy, and this is a sign that, you know, that they didn't get close or whatever, but it doesn't mean it's going to be, you know, an unhappy situation for Michael Pittman Jr. Expect him to, you know, potentially put up a fuss, but maybe not. Maybe he'll be good to go. Maybe he's fine with that type of money. It's honestly $21.8 million is what he's getting paid to play. And to be honest with you, I don't think Michael Pittman Jr. should be getting paid the top 5 salaries in the NFL average. I just don't. I like Michael Pittman Jr. I'm just not a big advocate of this guy being considered a even mediocre wide receiver 1, like low end. You know, maybe the really high end wide receiver 2. He's not a wide receiver 1 to me. So, you know, paying him anything inside the top 10 wide receivers feels like a boatload to me. I'd rather have, you know, if I'm starting this organization in building it around AR5, I mean, I'm trying to get my hands on a Dunze. I'm trying to get my hands on Thomas Jr., one of the top rookies. I like Pittman Jr., don't get me wrong, but he feels very much overrated like Waddle was last year when Waddle was getting taken at 13 and 14 overall in 2023 redraft leagues, and I banged my fist on this table over and over and over, asking what in the hell everybody's doing. I'm seeing Michael Pittman Jr. go extremely high in drafts, and I like him. I just don't think he's a wide receiver 1 in fantasy. He certainly isn't a wide receiver 1 in the NFL. Doesn't mean I hate him, though. I know a lot of people take it that way. This man was not franchise tagged, so he will be a free agent and be landing with the squad very, very soon. Can't wait to see where he ends up. Here is a list of players not franchise tagged. Players not franchise tagged: Chris Jones, Christian Wilkins. We've got Saquon Barkley, Josh Jacobs, Baker Mayfield, which was very shocking, to be honest with you. Calvin Ridley, of course, we didn't expect him to get tagged. Baker was odd because you bring in Mike Evans, and you sign him. You re-sign Mike Evans to a 2-year deal. I got that one right here. Okay, that was old news. That's days old. And you think, okay, they're going to tag Baker. They got the one deal done that they couldn't not have there in place to succeed, right? You know you're going to franchise tag Baker. You sign Mike Evans to a long-term or a 2-year deal, and you feel really good about running it back, even though we all know they're not going to go deep into the playoffs or win a Super Bowl, but this team wants to compete. They're able to play well. They put a good product out there last year. Very impressive run for sure. Baker played very good. Mike Evans is phenomenal. And they don't tag Baker. I don't really understand it. Baker's probably very likely to re-sign, but there are teams that might throw the bag at him. And he's not going to have loyalties to Mike Evans if the bag looks significantly solid. If this guy gets an offer from Minnesota, if he gets an offer from LV to go throw to Devontae Adams, if he gets an offer to go to Atlanta, he's going to look at all these potential landing spots and say, you know what, maybe I need to test out my options, which he's fully going to do since they did not franchise tag him. Kind of strange, to be honest with you. I don't like the move unless they have, other plans of maybe getting a better quarterback and bringing in somebody to try and actually get over that, hurdle that we believe Baker will kind of flirt with getting over, but not really get over. So I guess at the end of the day, they do what I would do. I guess they're not doing anything different than I would do. Bringing back Mike Evans, I don't hate that. Bringing back Baker, I'd rather have Justin Fields. I'd rather have Kirk Cousins for a couple years. I'd rather have definitely Penix Jr., Bo Nix, and who knows what Tampa Bay's interested in doing with this 26 pick. Maybe they trade it up. I don't know a lot of teams that need quarterbacks that are willing to trade down, but maybe you find a team that doesn't need a quarterback that's willing to trade down, and you find New York looking to build and do different things. Maybe New York's like, we want to take a guy like Rattler later, and we don't want to use this pick on a quarterback and freak Aaron Rodgers out. Maybe they're okay with trade this 10 pick down, and Tampa Bay gets right here, drafts a quarterback. Who knows? As I sat there and ripped on not franchise tagging Baker, I literally right in front of you was like, maybe I wouldn't. Maybe it seems like the move to make if you can't solidify your quarterback situation and button that up. But maybe they just have faith that they're going to get it done, or they'll re-sign him at the end of the day. He still is very likely to re-sign. Let's get this thing out of the way real quick. This one's weird. Some are going to say that he wants a summer home in Arizona. Deebo Samuel on his stories, and a lot of people overreact to Deebo's stories, so I'm not trying to create waves here, but when this stuff happens and there's potential wide receiver trade rumors, Ayuk, Deebo, Bosa, somebody could get traded potentially, not for sure. They're of course not going to try and make a move, but they're in cap hell. I broke this down for anybody that says they're not in cap. They're in cap hell. Stop. You don't know what you're saying. They have to figure out a way. They're going to be in some trouble. Not only that, they're going to kick some cans down the road if they continue to restructure everything. And then in 3 years from now, they're going to be in some holy hell. So they do need to maybe figure out something. But I don't think we're going to hear Deebo asking for realtors in Arizona if there's a deal on the way. I kind of almost feel like Deebo wouldn't know what's coming down if the way Shanahan and John Lynch operate. But I would say this is weird. He wants to come to your boy Smitty's area, territory. I'm right next to Scottsdale. Deebo and I are going to be living right next door. We're going to push the bunk beds together. We're going to have more room for activities. Smitty, Deebo, Smitty. I'm going to reach out to him. And I'm going to say, I got a realtor for you. I'll tap in and help this guy find a home. Maybe we can hook him up about a mile or two down the road. Very interesting development for sure, if you want to call it that. I don't know what to make of it. There's no buzz or rumors or news or anything speaking to this from any sort of angle of authority, or knowledge. So we only have just a story post. Just say, Deebo, what you doing there, buddy? What's going on there? That's all we got. But it is worth noting because I'm going to get DM after DM. Did you see Deebo? He's looking for a home. Did you see Deebo's looking for a home? I sure did. Put it on my show, bro, at the top of the show in the monologue. On the top, available free agent. If history is reliable guide, Kirk Cousins is down to his final days as a Vikings QB. Connecting the dots here, says Kevin Seifert. This is being re-quoted by Adam Schefter. Not necessarily saying it himself, but he's putting, his stamp of approval on this piece right here. I don't really know. This is going to be taken and then manipulated and rewritten and restated and restated. And it's like the telephone game where you have 10 people in a circle and you whisper to the first person, your mom went shopping at my aunt's grocery store and picked up 3 barrels of, peanuts. And then by the time you get around, the word peanut is not being used. Your mom's doing different things in this situation, and the story's completely different. I firmly believe that people are going to take this. You're going to see it all over the place. And it's going to be like, Kirk Cousins, did you hear Kirk Cousins is done? Did you hear Kirk Cousins is leaving? We don't fully know. I do believe that the Vikings are very, very interested in getting a quarterback right here and replacing Kirk Cousins, who they've wanted to replace for years. They just keep going back to him. And I think Kirk Cousins at this point, hit that thumb up button. We got 27 people that have hit the thumb up button. We need more people to do that. Everybody punch the thumb up button, okay? It's it's Super Tuesday. There's elections going on. Everybody go vote no matter what side you're on. Okay? It's very, very important that you vote, even if it's for somebody else. Not making any political statement here at all. I'm just telling you to vote. It's huge. As is this news right here of Kirk Cousins potentially not returning to Minnesota, which is all speculation, but I believe it to be true to some degree, because why would you want to go back to a place that doesn't want you? Why would you want to go back to a place that does not want you? Kirk Cousins has always been second choice to the Minnesota Vikings. Last draft, they wanted AR5. They wanted to trade up for AR5, and they could not. So they resorted back to Kirk Cousins. They continue to resort back to Kirk Cousins. I don't know where he's going to be, to be honest with you. I just know that the Vikings are not set on this. I know JJ wants him, but JJ's going to be open-minded to anything, and he's going to defend his boy. If JJ was told, hey, how do you feel about Fields coming over? He'd probably say, yeah, I don't mind that. I don't mind that at all. Vikings possible solve their problem, their quarterback problem. This is Rich Eisen on his Rich Eisen show. The Vikings possible solve at the quarterback position, the solution, if you will, Trey Lance. Speculation, smoke, self-inflicted smoke, and rumor by Eisen on his own show. He did not say that he had a connection necessarily for this. He just... Oh, actually, he did. He said that he heard... Yeah, actually, he did. He had an unnamed source. I kind of believe Rich Eisen that he heard this. I don't know that I believe the source. But we heard him say on his show here, I was told that a possible solution could be trading for Trey Lance. And when he was talking, I believe, with the GM or owner, I think Rich Eisen said in this clip right here that I just screenshotted here. And the guy said to Rich, you got one Kirk Cousins question when he was hanging out with him. Because everybody's asking him about Kirk Cousins constantly. And he just said, is he coming back? That's what Rich Eisen said to him. And in so many words, he ended up saying back to him, Kirk Cousins is going to fully go test out free agency. He believes firmly that Kirk Cousins is going to go see what he can do, and then figure it out from there. That is basically that his natural instinct, his desire is not to be a Minnesota Viking necessarily. To go see if there's a better home, not to I want to remain here. I prefer to remain here. Can we get a deal done? At this point, Kirk Cousins has turned his back and walked out the door. We just don't know if he'll come back. This is actually not speculation. This is coming from the brass, and Rich Eisen spoke to said brass, and then Rich Eisen said right before that conversation he heard that Trey Lance might be in the potential conversation. We've talked about this before. A couple callers have even said, is anybody going to trade for Trey Lance? I don't think so. I don't think Trey Lance is proven enough that a team's going to take this gamble. But crazier things have happened. And I do believe in Trey Lance to a degree still. I think he's been kind of ruined. I think they may not, he may have his confidence shattered and shaken, and I don't know that he can recover. But I do believe in him still to a degree, and if he goes to the right spot, it could be phenomenal for him, and I would be so excited to watch him go throw footballs to JJ. You know, as much as I'd be worried about whether it works out, they can fix that the next year. JJ survived, you know, with the quarterback carousel. I certainly don't want him to go through a dramatic year of quarterback carouseling again, but I would almost take the risk with seeing Trey Lance unfold with JJ. So that was an interesting piece. And again, this is not smoke. This was several different things that were being reported. Here are the top free agent running backs. This is from Adam Schefter. Of course, we've got our own free agent board right here that we reference all the time. Very similar names. All those guys are on it. Josh Jacobs, DeAndre Swift, Austin Eckler, Tony Pollard, Derrick Henry, Saquon Barkley. These guys are all looking for homes. This is touted to be the most talented free agent running back class we've ever had in the NFL, is what a lot of people are coining this. I don't know if I'd go that far. Maybe. I guess I'd have to look at all of them side by side. I would say that a bunch of these guys are older, so I don't really know, or not a bunch of them, but Henry and Eckler are older. Barkley's getting older. Pollard's unproven, and unfortunately it's painful to say that. Swift is hard to really gauge depending on where he goes, and Jacobs had a bad year. So I'm not saying it's a bad class. I'm not trying to tear down that premise that this is the best free agent running back class we've ever seen, but it certainly has a lot of question marks too at the same time. But it is going to be fun, and I believe at the end of the day, if we go over to the Barkley, Henry, Jacobs board here, even better, go to the free agent. Actually, that's the wrong board. The board I'm looking for is this one right here. Let me pull up the Barkley board. That's what I want. That's what we coined as the Barkley board. We had the Aaron Rodgers board. We had the Lamar board. Now we're looking for the Barkley board. Where is it? Where do I have it here somewhere? There it is. These are the top landing spots for said free agents. Houston, Dallas, Baltimore, LAC, Philly, Cincy, Buffalo. I kind of feel like the best spot is Dallas or Houston. I really like Baltimore, but they have been known to be I don't want to say unpredictable, but it is probably actually a good word to really use at the end of the day. Unpredictable with their running backs. And I know you've got Todd Monken now as OC, and he did a phenomenal job last year building this offense around Lamar, especially with Lamar sitting out a big part of the offseason with this holdout. And he still put it all together. So I really love what Monken put together. I don't really think we have a full grasp on what he wants to do with the running game. I think we can assume that it's always been a committee there the last handful of years. But we don't know if maybe Monken would change directions if he had a workhorse running back. I think he very well would and could. So if Henry was to go to Baltimore, if Barkley was to go to Baltimore, if Jacobs, who I kind of feel like Jacobs is going to Baltimore, one of those guys goes to Baltimore, they'll probably get fed. You know, I don't think we'll have any worry based on previous running back by committee unfoldings that we've seen over there time and time again. We've never seen a big name running back, and everyone said they love J.K. Dobbins. J.K. Dobbins was the biggest bust. I could see it coming from a mile away. I told everyone every single year to avoid Cam Akers and J.K. Dobbins equivalently, because they were absolute busts in the making. You could see it written all over them. The two most injury-prone running backs in the National Football League. They haven't had anybody. Gus Bus has been their best. I mean, we love Keaton Mitchell, but he tore his ACL, so we can't expect a lot from him his first year back. I'm excited about Keaton Mitchell, but you tear your ACL and you do it late in the year, you're not a lock of any kind. I think at the end of the day, Barkley or Henry in Dallas feels amazing, and the other one in Houston's pretty damn good. LAC, I think they try and draft Corum no matter what they do, so that's kind of a risky running back by committee potential, but they run the ball so many damn times. And Corum had 20,000 touchdowns last year for Michigan, so you know Harbaugh wants to punch the ball in the end zone using his RB when he's anywhere near the goal line. Now maybe he changes and he runs a different scheme like he did in San Francisco when he coached in the NFL previously. I get that. I know he's not just going to transfer college football straight over, but he also has been there for a little while now doing it, and he's probably got new tendencies and new habits, and I don't know that he just jumps to the NFL and says, let's do it all different. Let's go back to the old days. We don't know. He very much will probably try to implement a very similar Michigan balanced attack, and that might include multiple running backs, which might be okay if they run the ball 600 times, which is possible with this guy, Harbaugh, I'm telling you. And defense and run and balance and Herbert being efficient but not being top 5. If you think Herbert's going to be a top 5 quarterback, I think you probably have higher expectations than you should. I'm not saying he won't be efficient, amazing, a winner, look good, that Harbaugh is successful. I'm not saying that at all. Harbaugh could very well be successful, but maybe it doesn't happen right away. Maybe it does, but either way, if it does or doesn't, I don't know that it's going through Herbert. I think Herbert is there to assist this offense to be balanced and effective and sharp and dangerous. I don't know that it's going through Herbert. The Bills go through Josh Allen. The Ravens go through Lamar Jackson. The Bengals go through Joe Burrow. The Chiefs go through Patrick Mahomes. The Chargers will go through balance. It's just the way it's going to be. And if you're a Herbert fan and you're a truther and you think this is the resurgence of Herbert you've been waiting for, I don't know that he's going to even sniff top 5 quarterback numbers. I really like him from an efficiency standpoint. And I almost wish that Harbaugh was true to his word that McCarthy's the best quarterback since sliced bread to him, because why not trade Herbert to Minnesota, please? Said Harbaugh, if you love JJ McCarthy so badly, draft him at 5, please. Minnesota will give you the 11 for Herbert, okay? They'll give you the 11 for Herbert, maybe more. Let Herbert throw to JJ. Let Herbert maybe become top 5, because my whole thing about Herbert is not that he can't be top 5. He just can't really be. He hasn't been able to be top 5 in this situation, and he can't be top 5 in this new situation. He hasn't been able to be top 5. How can he be top 5? It's not his fault, but he won't be. He won't be. It's not going to happen. There are too many good quarterbacks for that to happen, too many good systems. So if you're, and I'm not saying this is going to happen, people. Look at me. Do I look like an idiot? At least do I look like a total moron? I understand Harbaugh's not trading Herbert. But if he thinks JJM, if he's not blowing smoke to get his draft stock up because it's his boy, he's there to support him. I don't need you to explain it to me, Bill, in the comments. I'm not a moron. I get what I'm saying. But if, let's say, fairy tale world Harbaugh loved JJM like he says he does, and he's not lying to placate the situation, then trade Herbert for the 11. Draft JJ McCarthy here. Take Rome Odunze or Bowers here. And then if you like JJM so much, there you go. You got a championship caliber team, and JJ has his long-term quarterback. It would be the most beautiful thing. It would just be glory. It'd be straight glory. All right, back to reality. I know someone's going to be, Smitty, let me explain to you, let me fantasy-explain you why that can't happen, or that it's actually him just talking about his player, trying to help him get a better draft capital, because I don't know what I'm doing. Kirk Cousins, top free agents, Kirk Cousins, Russell Wilson, Baker Mayfield, Tannehill, Flacco, Brissett, there's some Brissett news potentially. New England is maybe kicking the tires on that bad boy. Joshua Dobbs, I'll be interested. If I was the Cardinals, I'd bring him back. I think they made a mistake. That guy's kind of a fun little backup quarterback to have. Here's this right here. Already stated, franchise tag, not being slapped on Saquon Barkley. He'll be one of the top free agents in a very good running back class. No doubt about it. Barkley, let's ride. Barkley, new territory, let's ride. Michael Pittman Jr., already put that up on the screen. There you go. Kirk Cousins, here's that report right here. Florio says, very credible indications Kirk Cousins is considering signing with the Atlanta Falcons. Let's talk about this for a second. I don't hate this at all for the short term. Again, I went on a tirade last night talking about how I think Penix Jr. is just the most underrated quarterback in this class, and everybody keeps crapping all over him, and I love it. I love it, but people are circling back around now. He had a great combine. Now they like him. Guy hasn't been hurt for 2 years. His medical's checked out, and people are still ripping on this, ripping on that. Penix Jr. to the freaking moon. And I'm going to start taking away Penix cards. I'm going to create a Penix Jr. card, and I'm going to take it away if you don't believe in this man. I want Penix Jr. or Bo Nix to go to Atlanta. I love Bo Nix. Bo Nix and Penix Jr., to be honest with you, I go back and forth on that. I like JD5, Bo Nix, Penix Jr. These are my top 3 QBs, and Bo Nix in the right spot could be the best of them all. I love Bo Nix. Bo Nix is absolutely phenomenal. Bo Nix, learn about it. Learn about it. If this guy goes into the Atlanta Falcons situation to the freaking moon, everybody including him. If Penix Jr. goes to the Atlanta Falcons situation to the moon, and everybody to the moon to Saturn. Bo Nix and Penix Jr. are absolutely phenomenal prospects for any team to get and slap into one of these situations. But I don't mind Kirk Cousins. I know he can throw the rock. I get it. I don't like that he's coming off an Achilles tear. And before you say, oh, that's really convenient when you like Aaron Rodgers so much, I also don't like, if you watch the show, Bob, you know, I also don't like Aaron Rodgers coming back from an Achilles tear without a proper backup plan. I've said it over and over this offseason. You can say I'm stupid. You can say whatever you want, but the Jets are crazy not to draft a Penix Jr. or a Bo Nix at 10. I don't care what Rodgers says. You make him a part of the conversation. You don't blindside him like the Green Bay Packers did with Jordan Love and then screw up a situation that takes forever to unravel. And look how good Jordan Love could have been right away. Like, maybe he wouldn't have developed properly. It could have been a perfect timing, whatever. My point being that the Jets, and Salah specifically, would be idiotic to not draft Penix Jr. or Bo Nix to prepare behind an aging Aaron Rodgers who's recovering from a torn Achilles tendon. There's no better move for the New York Jets. They've got everything else. Of course, they can fill holes, offensive line. People crap on the offensive line all the time. Let me tell you something, offensive line New York Jet hater. Let me tell you a little bit about how this stuff works. You got a quarterback that is garbage like Zach Wilson. Your offensive line's going to look bad. It doesn't matter how good it is. Doesn't matter what it could do. It's going to look like shit. You put a quick release Aaron Rodgers behind that offensive line. Guess what happens? Defenses spread out. Defenses back up. Aaron Rodgers, even though he did tear his Achilles immediately when the season began, getting hit, he's not going to take sack after sack with his quick release. He will make this offensive line better just by being in the lineup. I'm not saying they go to a 9 out of 10 on a rating scale of 10. I'm merely saying if you call them crap because of the way you watched them not produce last year when they were tired, always on the field, the defense looked defeated. Everybody looked defeated. If you think the offensive line's so garbage, all of these Jets offensive line haters, why did Breece Hall do so well? I don't even want to hear it. So they don't need this pick on that. They need this pick on security. They need this pick on future. They need to protect Sauce Gardner. They need to protect Garrett Wilson, Breece Hall. Every component of this team that is built for the now and the long term needs a quarterback and signal caller to be under center 2 years from today. And you're never going to see two quarterbacks like Bo Nix and Penix Jr. sitting there for the taking at 10 overall. You're just not going to see it. And if Aaron Rodgers has success and he does well for 2 years, you're not going to see this draft capital again either. You don't need this pick on anything else. You got so many things going for you. Fill those holes in the later rounds. Fill those holes through free agency. It's not like you have to go bare bones at one of these positions because you didn't take it at the 10 pick. Use it on Penix Jr. Use it on Bo Nix. Grab a future star. This isn't even what I fully want because I want these rookies to explode, all of them. Nix and Penix Jr. I don't want them waiting a day. I want them out there in week 1. But this is being unselfish. This is being unbiased. And this is me telling you what New York should do. Why am I going on a rampage on this? Because of what I said earlier when I said that, what was I even saying? Achilles tear. Smitty, you like Aaron Rodgers? You don't worry about his Achilles. I just explained I do. I think we look at a guy like Cousins. We know what he is in Minnesota, but are we that out of pocket to suggest that maybe he would be different in Atlanta? Would he be exactly the same? Is he going to be fully healthy? We don't fully know. So I'm not like sold on Cousins being 100% lock of doing what he did in Minnesota just by transferring him over to Atlanta. But I do like him. He's one of the better options. I think Fields at second round equivalent trade value and drafting Rome Odunze at 8 is the best scenario for Atlanta overall. I think drafting Penix Jr. or Bo Nix is the next best scenario. And if you need to fill the wide receiver void, you go get Leggett or Malachi Corley or someone like that in round 2 or 3 or whatever, depending on the receiver we talk about. Or you trade back up and you try and get a Thomas Jr. You trade back up, you try and get somebody like that. There's a lot of opportunity to trade up into the bottom if you wanted. But Atlanta is definitely in a good position. Atlanta's either going to have Bo Nix, Penix Jr., Cousins, Justin Fields, or Russell Wilson as the quarterback in Atlanta in 2024. I feel very confident that one of those scenarios will be in play, and that's fantastic for. But Kirk Cousins, this report here, according to Pro Football Talk, Mike Florio, there are reports that very credible indications that Kirk Cousins is considering signing with the Falcons. So there you go. We're almost done with all the news. In fact, I think we are minus this last piece right here. This was from, this just happened just recently. The Texans made sure Dalton Schultz was not leaving or going anywhere. We love this connection between Stroud and Schultz. We kind of wanted Bowers to land in Houston, though. But this just means they're probably not going to trade up for Bowers. Dalton Schultz agrees to a 3-year, $36 million contract, 23.5 fully guaranteed. That is from Ian Rappaport. That's great news. I mean, Dalton Schultz is a sneaky good tight end in 2024, and having him have his for sure home and know where he's going to be, know that he's with a quarterback that he had great rapport with, is going to up his fantasy value quite a bit. So that's fantastic news. Phone lines are open. Dial on in. Appreciate every single one of you being here. Let's go. Let's roll.
Call into the show. Call into the show.
Your boy is answering your phone calls, so do it live. Let's move the phone call. Let's move that over here. Vampy in the building. Vampy, appreciate you. Cousins better for the Falcons weapons than Fields, to be honest, says Mike. Well, that's your opinion, Mike, and I appreciate your opinion, but I disagree with you, which is fine. That's how we roll, and that's okay. Mike, you and I won't agree on everything. That's what Grandpappy said. I can't please all the people all the time. I have a tough enough time pleasing a quarter of the people half of the time. Could have gave Barkley that money, says Tex. I'm sure you're referring to the awful contract that Danny Dimes got. Yep. What a debacle there. Can you imagine if I was running things in New York, this is what we'd be sitting with. This is what we'd be sitting with. Barkley locked up. And now you're sitting there looking at Penix Jr., Bo Nix, something to that degree. Or would have Barkley locked up if I was a giant, decision maker. We'd be drafting a Dunze or Neighbors here, and we would be trading for Justin Fields or signing Kirk Cousins or bringing in Russell Wilson, who I think a lot of people might say, hey, I don't like the Russell Wilson suggestion, but that's fine too. You can disagree on that. I think Russell Wilson's he's better than a stopgap measure. It's easy to judge him fully off of the horrible situation he was thrown into, but he was thrown into a horrible situation that no one could have survived in. Even when he started to cook again, quote unquote, he was doing well. He was doing very well. They tried to bench him because he wouldn't rescind his injury clause, which I think, again, a draft pick should be taken away. If I was the NFL commissioner, I would come for this 12 pick, and I would say, I know there'd probably be a fight on that and whatever, but I would come for that 12 pick and say, you're surrendering it because of your illegal maneuver and attempted extortion. Travis, you're live?
Hey, Smitty, what's up?
Yo.
Did that person mean they might have could have given Barkley that money with the Dalton Schultz money, which I think they still have money for Barkley.
Oh, is that what he meant? Well, they still could.
Yeah.
I think what that, I think they very much could. Houston's got that they had the 27 pick that went to the Arizona Cardinals. Houston's got the 23 pick right here from Cleveland. I don't know what they're going to do with that pick. So many different ways they could go. I was going to say, yeah, I really wanted them to potentially trade up and try and get Brock Bowers. They weren't going to get him at 23, but what could they maneuver? But they're clearly not doing that now. I mean, they're giving Dalton Schultz a ton of money, and I like him. He had good rapport. He was a moon man a year prior, so we liked him a lot walking into the season. So I think a lot of what we predicted him to become, he's become and he will become. So I think we did a good job landing on that one, and I think he'll continue to be a very good sleeper tight end. But as far as what their offseason moves look like, I very, very much believe Houston is, like Dallas, the top one or two ideal landing spots for Barkley and for Henry and for Jacobs in their eyes. They're clearly the top 2 or 3 spots for us, right? Or at least 4. Some people love the Chargers number 1. I get it. I understand. Chargers, Houston, Dallas, Baltimore. I don't think anybody in their right mind can argue these aren't at least likely the top 4 landing spots for fantasy football. But the good news is Houston's probably in the top 2 for all 3 of these guys. Because Stroud's exciting. DeMeco Ryans is a player's coach. The organization's headed somewhere. They made the playoffs last year. They're missing that final piece. They saw Singletary get work and volume. Dallas has kind of got that can they get over the hump? They're failing. They're on the rise. Houston's on the rise. Chargers is a changing scenario. What's it look like? How's it going to work? Baltimore also, like Houston, feels like they're on the edge, right? They just need that little lift. So I think at the end of the day, Dallas is great for fantasy, but I bet you Baltimore and Houston are a little more attractive to these 3 guys. Just because they feel like they're missing the piece, and they're going to make them feel like, hey, you're that missing piece. Come on over. Red Rover. And Barkley in Houston, I just think he, like what Singletary did, Barkley's going to do times 2. And Singletary was really good. Singletary was super effective. He looked so good last year.
Crazy.
Barkley's going to do what Singletary did times 2 or 3. And so it's gonna be a good spot.
As long as Dak, I think they'll sign him because they don't have much of a choice unless they take a big left turn. But as long as Dak is kind of up in the air, they don't know. You have Lamar and you have C.J. Stroud. They're there, so the quarterback situation. They have young talent around them, and so Dallas, could be a little more shaky from that stance too. Where, I think Dak's going to be there. I think they'll give him a contract. But looking at it, just like you say, with wide receivers going places, if you don't know who the QB is for sure in the next 2-3 years, it's a little mark against you.
And we do not want Dak out of Dallas from a fantasy perspective.
No.
Yeah, because
it's working. For as a Cowboy fan.
Working.
Too.
Right. No, I know, but I'm just letting people know. We're all kind of like Dak isn't, but let's stop saying it. Let's stop putting it out there in the ether. Like Dak ain't it. No, Dak's perfect. Keep him exactly where he is. CeeDee Lamb loves him.
One of the top 3 wide receivers.
Yeah, I mean CeeDee Lamb and him are like this. If you take Dak away, I don't know what's gonna happen. But I don't know what to make of this Deebo stuff. I've got more connections than anybody watching 2 Niner communities and such, so I don't even, there's nothing on this, so I can tell you right now. But what's your speculation on, is this a summer home? What's Deebo looking for realtors? Is it maybe a relative that just needs a home there? But he knows better than to put this up without context, and maybe he's laughing at it. Maybe he likes it. I don't know. But it certainly is kind of odd timing when there are people in even the Niner content creation space. Even my boy C-Mac. C-Mac, let me see if I can get C-Mac's post up, because if anybody's saying, oh, they're not trading, they're not going to trade it. Let me tell you something. There are people that are predicting something to happen at some point. This is from my boy C-Mac. And I got, you know, I don't know what Raj thinks on this. We'll definitely ask him. I'd love to get him on the phone. Maybe I'll DM him and see if he wants to come on. But here's this message from C-Mac. This is a bold prediction post that he put up. So, and he's very pro, you're crazy, that's not happening, nothing's happening, no one's moving, you're crazy. Like, he's very, very pro everything, you know, 49ers. So for him to say anything like this, I always take a little bit more, harder look at it, because, so one bold prediction, again, it's a bold prediction, is that the 49ers will trade a player that has top 10 in cap hits for the 2024 season. So one of the top 10 cap hit players for the 2024 cap. This list includes Trent Williams, Nick Bosa, Fred Warner, Armstead, CMC, Brandon Ayuk, Kittle, Hargrave, Ward, Deebo Samuel. What's your boldest offseason prediction? So clearly he's making a bold offseason prediction, but he's always super like, that's not happening. Christian McCaffrey's not going anywhere. Deebo's not going anywhere. And all I'm saying is that there are people very, very, very connected to the Niner space and situation that understand that a trade is possible. Not that they expect it to happen at the end of the day. Not that they don't think the Niners will try their best to not make any of these trades, keep the band together. But if, let's say, Ayuk is like, I'm getting paid like a top 4 wide receiver, plain and simple, and they're like, he's not going to budge. This is going to be an ugly offseason. Let's just send him away. Or we can't afford this, but we want to keep him. Deebo's got tons of miles on him. Let's trade Deebo. Like, we don't know what they're thinking. And for everybody to assume that it can't happen, I'm not saying it will, but to assume it can't because you don't want it to, that is not logical. They are in cap trouble. They have about, I want to say it was, what was C-Mac's other message? I want to say, I'll read it. I won't screenshot it. But it was the cap numbers. I think it was right. Where is it? 22. So 38 million of 2023 carryover. The 49ers currently have about 4.6 million of the 2024 offseason salary space per Sport Track. So restructuring time for the Niners, which they can do. They can restructure a lot of deals, and even giving Deebo or Ayuk an extension will make him cheaper for 2024. So you'll have more money by extending Ayuk instead of keeping him on his 5th-year option. So there's a lot of different ins and outs, and for the most part, you always hear me say that the cap is fake. It's fake to a degree. You can only push it so far. We've seen teams that are $50 million in over the cap sign a player like Aaron Rodgers all of a sudden. Like when Aaron Rodgers signed, I don't remember exactly how much the Jets were over the cap, but I want to say it was it was a lot. Yeah, and he still signed. Or I'm sorry, the Packers. I'm sorry. When he re-signed with the Packers, I want to say they were so far over the cap when he made that put pen to paper. Like, there's a lot that gets moved around. But anyway.
Well, it's like Deebo's contract this year goes through the roof, which I'm sure you've mentioned that. But
yeah.
His base salary alone, he's like a prime candidate for restructure, an extension or something. Or, Smitty. I guess in terms of... Go ahead, sorry.
Oh, no, go ahead.
I was just saying, in terms of that list of players C-Mac listed there, there's a couple defensive guys, I guess, but I would think they want to keep the defense together. Wide receiver is probably the easiest position to replace, technically speaking, in Shanahan's system. And if you could get rid of the Deebo contract, per se, or not have to sign out, you can bring in someone younger, someone more affordable. Either that or, like you said, you have to restructure somebody. Because Deebo jumps from $1 million to $20 million base salary this year alone.
Yeah. Terry Roberts says Smitty will be seeing Dune 2 with the money I won from Underdog promo code Smitty. Do it tonight after the show. I still need to watch Dune 1. All right. Terry, appreciate your $5 holler. I do need to see Dune. That's on, I think, Max, and I need to watch it. I think I started to watch the first 10 minutes. Is Dune pretty good? Has anybody else seen Dune? I heard it's really good.
I haven't seen either of them.
I'm gonna watch it. I'm gonna watch it. Looks pretty good. Thank you, Terry. Appreciate you. Yeah, this is tough. It's tough to say what's gonna happen in San Francisco. I know a lot of people are. John, you've been on hold for a while. John, what's up? You're live.
Oh, hey, how's it going, man? Big fan of Dune. Highly recommend. Haven't seen the second one, but yeah, it looks pretty great.
Okay,
my question was more, since you're a Cardinals fan, what are your thoughts on prioritizing the Cardinals stack this upcoming season? Kyler is looking like some amazing value. I like how I know it's a newer offense, but he was still running the ball a ton, kind of towards, or at least, for someone who was just coming off an ACL tear, he's going to be even more removed from that. McBride is looking like great value, and so, James Conner, you can get him so late. So just wondering what your thoughts were on that.
I like it. I think if you were to stack that, you'd be in good shape. The problem is, on Underdog Fantasy, again, if anybody hasn't signed up using the promo code Smitty, the link also gets you there as well. I'll drop the link right now. We're going to do drafts like on the nightly, or at least every 4 or 5 nights a week here coming up soon. So sign up now ahead of time so you can do it, and won't be trying to get in last second. You'll be ready to go. And they double your first deposit up to $100. But, bro, when we were looking at ADP rankings in the very, very beginning, when Underdog drafts opened up for 2024, the NFL Super Bowl hadn't happened yet, and we were sitting there looking at Trey McBride. I went live on it, like in emergency live stream mode, like multiple times, going, guys, get on Underdog now and start drafting Trey McBride over and over and over. Because his ADP, you will not be putting all your eggs in one basket, because soon he will be gone and you'll only have the amount of drafts that you get to draft in, getting Trey McBride in his territory where he was falling. He's now QB or tight end number 3. He was going in the 70 range for not the first day or first week, for like a month. He was going in like the tight end 6, 7. I want to say it was like 68. Travis, do you remember it was like 68 to 70 something overall?
Yeah, to like 73 or something like that. And it was in that range.
Yeah,
it was like a glitch.
Yeah, it was a loophole for sure. And I drafted him over and over and over and over and over. And now he's tight end number 3. Should be tight end number 2. But he's tight end number 3. He's going 49 overall. He literally almost doubled his ADP, or cut it in half, you could say. And so, that part sucks, because now you got to draft him high. But I still like the value, technically. And so Kyler's going to be super cheap. Connor will be super cheap. Connor is always really, really overperforming. And I don't mind the cost of Connor. Connor, I think, is probably going to cost you. Let me scroll down on the ADP and look at that. 85 overall. Running back 25. I'm fine with that. So, yeah, I'm very much on board that stack. The only high-value guy would be McBride, and then you could build everybody around McBride, then add Kyler onto it, add Connor onto it, and then you've got a nice little stack. I don't mind it at all.
For sure. And I also think that, let's assume for a second the Cardinals do end up drafting Marvin Harrison and not trade out at the pick. My guess is McBride will take a little bit of a hit, because everyone's going to say, oh, what's the offense going to look like now? He's going to take away from McBride. My guess is McBride is still going to probably get a 25% team target share, even with Marvin Harrison going there, and maybe he just gets more touchdowns.
Yeah, I'm kind of a big believer in that the tight end position is hard to take away from. Of course, if you had, a bad quarterback that didn't throw it all, and then you added these wide receivers, and then all of a sudden they don't use the tight end position at all. But the Cardinals do use the tight end position a lot. And I think, if, let's say, Marvin Harrison came in, he's absorbing probably 80 or 90% of what he's taking from somebody is coming from a wide receiver. I think that there's so much dialed up for Trey McBride. He's going to get his no matter what. And in some ways, maybe he's more open, so I think it could be a negative impact net
for
gain
sure.
of 0 or whatever.
Are there any teams, this is a different topic, but are there any teams out there right now, like, remember how the Rams last season, I mean, kind of other than Cooper Kupp, but his value took a hit once he got injured, but I mean, no one saw Puka coming, or like, he was the last round. Are there any teams like that going into this season that everyone's kind of writing off as, oh, this is going to be a horrible year for them, but then they kind of have some players that come and surprise you like that?
What team could be like the Houston Texans or be like the Rams? I would say Seattle. I would say the Cardinals. I would say the New York Jets, which we all know they're going to be good, but people are going to be like, Washington, depending on if they get JD5. New England, if they get Marvin Harrison Jr. and Fields. Colts are going to be Colts will be good. Falcons. I mean, all those teams have the capability. If I had to pick one, I mean, it'd be the Jets, but I think they're not doubted by a significant amount of people. I think Seattle is going to be one of the biggest, and I think the Cardinals could be. And that's not, I'm very, very unbiased. I'm not biased at all with the Cardinals. I really am not. I'm very, very good at being. I was ripping Kyler to shreds when he was asking for a extension, and like I'm very, very critical of the Cardinals. But they have a lot of talent. They get MHJ. It's going to be very fun to watch. But I do believe if they screw up the pick and trade down or something stupid, that I'm going to be so mad, and they're not going to be as good this year. We'll have to see.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I'm with you there. And last one, who is going to be this year's Mike Evans? Basically, that older wide receiver, maybe in a kind of a newer situation. How he had Baker coming in, where everyone is
probably Hopkins.
Probably
Hopkins. Yeah, he probably should get released. We'll see. It could be released. If he's not, then probably not. But other guys, I mean, we'll see if Lockett gets cut, where he goes, but I don't think he'd necessarily be that guy. We'll see where Gabe Davis goes. Hollywood Brown, we'll see where he goes. As far as like older player, Adams is older, but he's not going anywhere, and I don't think anybody's expecting him to do bad. McLaurin could pop off again. Everyone's kind of writing him off from being an elite potential wide receiver too, when he definitely could be. Cooper Kupp's getting written off a lot, and I think he, even though he's not moving teams like you're saying, I think he could absolutely. I think that's what you're saying. He could absolutely be way better.
That older receiver who maybe the situation's changing a little bit, but that people are kind of writing off like, oh, their best days are behind them. Then they come and have this.
Yeah, Cooper Kupp. I'd say Cooper Kupp qualifies most in that description, because I think he'll be elite during a lot of games, but he'll just be hurt, or they'll rotate and his age will show a little bit here and there. But I mean, I think I'm drafting Cooper Kupp all day long at his underdog ADP. His underdog ADP is freaking, I mean, good God, it dropped off. It's 40 overall, and it's wide receiver 27. You know what I mean? Like, why are we not going to go near that? That's like your third wide receiver. If you were to go wide receiver, it's your wide receiver 2 in normal constructions of your roster. But all right, bro, appreciate you.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Later. Rock out. You're live. Hello.
Yeah, if the 49ers trying to trade Deebo, I would add Kittle to that list. It kind of makes sense because they've both been injured and all that.
Yeah.
And if they did do that, what receiver would you bring up to be the number 2 with Ayuk?
What receiver would I bring up to be number 2? It would definitely be
or a rookie.
No, it would be Ronnie. What's his name? Ronnie Bell. Ronnie Bell. Love him. Ronnie Bell looks so good. He's like a dog, man. He just fights like. He reminds me of Puka Nacua in a way. I wouldn't have known to compare him to Puka until after Puka became Puka. But like looking backward now, we can say, okay, who's he play with? Like, oh, what about the guy named Puka Nacua? It just like has a motor on him. I really like Ronnie Bell. if they had to put him into the wide receiver 2 spot, he would be fine. He just makes plays. He's one of those really efficient guys. I like him a lot. Jennings is good. I know a lot of people love Jennings because he made a big catch and everything, but Jennings has had a lot of time to do something, and he's just a utility guy. Jennings is good, but yeah, he's the number 3, and he's going to do well when he's the number 3. You put him in the number 2, I don't know that Jennings is going to do what you think. The guy had 1 touchdown in 2022. Or no, was it?
Yeah.
Was it 2020? Was it 2022 or last year?
Maybe last year. I forgot which one.
Yeah,
last
he's not.
Year,
I remember
last year he had 1 touchdown last year and in 2022.
How many?
5 in 2021.
Yeah, so he had 1 touchdown this past season and the year prior.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I remember specifically on that because Raj bet me he'd have 7+ touchdowns going into 2022. And I'm like, I'll bet you on that all day long. We bet the Joe Burrow jersey. So I got a Joe Burrow jersey on that bet. But yeah, I mean, he's good, but the Niner fans think he's like God, Jennings. And
yeah.
He's like, he made a great he'll make a dog catch, no problem. He's good. But he makes 1 catch, like, Jennings is a dog! He'll leave the game with 2 catches, but he'll have a big play. And then everybody's calling him this elite wide receiver. Ronnie Bell will run circles around him.
Is what it is.
You what?
He just seems to make clutch plays at different times, and it kind of elevates him, you know?
Yeah.
Situation wise.
Yeah, definitely. So, yeah, I don't know, guys, what to make of this Deebo rumor other than it's just, or not rumor, this Deebo. We're creating the rumor. I don't know what to make of this. I don't know what to make of this Deebo story post other than the man is looking for a realtor in Scottsdale in Arizona, and we don't know why. That's it. No one's reporting on it. I'm trying to find out. I could try and get Raj on the line here. Let me see if I can get.
Motion detected at the front door.
Ziggy, show me the front door. Let me see if I can get one of the boys to come on. Let's see if I can get C-Mac or Raj in here, and see if they can give us their just educated guess on it. Not saying by any means that that Deebo's on the move. Hold on. Anyone want to jump live on the show and talk Deebo real quick? Okay. There we go. We'll see. We'll hear it ring. We'll add him in. All right. D-Town, what's up? Superfish, what's up? Hoosiers, what's up? What'd you guys think of the news today? Anything specific pop out as something that's going to have huge fantasy impact? What about Kirk Cousins and the rumors that he's not going back to Minnesota, which are very much springboarding off of just a report that Florio reported saying that he heard from a source that what was it? Where was that at? Let me read it specifically. I don't want to read it wrong. Well, this one's from Adam Schefter. It was that history is a reliable guide. Kirk Cousins is down to his final days as a Vikings
Motion
QB.
detected at the front door.
Ziggy, show me the front door. This was from Adam Schefter, not Florio. I'm sorry. What'd you guys think of that one?
Okay.
Well, I've said all along. I
Ziggy.
think if the Falcons want him, he's going to go there because I think the Falcons will pay him.
That was what Florio's was.
That
was what Florio's post was, that he's going to the Falcons.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Go.
I thought he said something.
Yeah, go ahead, Trev. Sorry.
And then in terms of that whole relationship, for the Vikings, like you said, they've always seemed to have half a foot out the door looking in another direction, and this is the perfect year to kind of rip that Band-Aid off. He had an injury, and so it's not like he took them to a certain place in the playoffs, and so there's kind of a little separation there. And then for him, though, he could also be saying, well, throw it to JJ. That's, any quarterback wants to do that, and he's got tons of weapons, but he might feel they just can't get over the hump. You're never going to feel like it's you that is the reason. So he may be looking to take it somewhere else and give it a shot somewhere else too. I know people think there's no way he could want to leave the Vikings, but, athletes don't always think, the same that we do. Oh, I have these weapons, so I want to stay here. They think they can go and perform in other places,
Yeah. KF wants me to ask Ziggy a question. Ziggy, will the Detroit Lions win the Super Bowl in 2024? Not looking good so far. Ziggy, will the Detroit Lions win the Super Bowl in 2024?
This might answer your question. The Lions have been eliminated from the NFL playoffs and cannot win the Super Bowl.
Well, there you go.
They can't.
He's stuck in the past, and he's not feeling it. Yeah, the Vikings definitely feel like they've had one foot out the door, and I think based on what this was Rich Eisen said, based on Rich Eisen's comment, that said that Kirk is going to test free agency. Let me see if I can find that comment specifically. It was, or that clip. This is the clip that I clipped from it. It says that Vikings' possible solution could be Trey Lance, is what he heard. Then he started talking with the Vikings brass, and then got an answer of Kirk Cousins is fully going to test free agency, and that's the vibe that he's getting, that Kirk wants to see what he can get. And then Kirk will come back if he doesn't get what he wants. So it's not like he's like dangling a carrot in front of Minnesota. Like, he's left. And so that's where I think Florio's report might be piggybacking off that. Pro Football Talks Mike Florio reports there's very credible indications that Kirk Cousins is considering signing with the Falcons. And it's sounding like the days are numbered in Minnesota for Kirk Cousins. I just don't know how credible all this is, because we're in the middle of smoke season, but all this is being reported, and all of it needs to be looked at, all of it needs to be analyzed, and all of it needs to be considered. So anybody who wants to shoot any of this stuff down, that's fine. Like, we're not saying anything cemented in. This is all smoke season, but there could be truth behind all this. You never know what's got truth packed into it and what's got, laced with a bunch of lies and smoke, because that's just the nature of it. It's the fun part about it. Like, some people are like, why you go live on this when you don't know yet? I don't know. What do you want me to do, Bob? Do you want me not to be live every day? Do you want me to sit here and wait for only concrete news, or do you not enjoy a speculation type show? When you ask somebody that, they're like, well, no, I like the show. Then what are you talking about? It's like, what do people want? What do people want? If you're watching the show and you like the show so much, and we're in here speculating, like Deebo Samuel puts realtors tap in Scottsdale, Arizona. If Deebo posts this, and I'm supposed to only go live on it if I get confirmation, then this is not the show for you. This is something to talk about. I don't know what to make of it. We're here to discuss it. But I'm certainly not going to sit back and go, oh, I'm going to bury this because I don't know what it means. I'm going to come out and say I don't know what it means, but what if it meant this? What if it meant that? Oh, we can speculate all day long. That's right, we can, and we will. We'll always do that. This is what we do.
It's like I think I mentioned it before. That's how you stay ahead of the curve in fantasy. You have situations and you kind of play them out. And when those situations happen, you're ready to pivot and make a move with your fantasy teams or anything like that. You can tie it back to fantasy as well.
Yeah, I don't know if C-Mac, Raj, or Vlad they're probably eating dinner. Well, boys, I'm probably going to head out here now, and I will be back tonight. Appreciate everybody being here. Thank you, Terry, for the super chat. Thank you. Who else dropped a super? Decker dropped one. Thank you guys all for dropping super chats. Appreciate you all. Do you guys have any final thoughts? Rock out. I'll come back tonight. We'll do a Dynasty show tonight, maybe a Rumble show as well. Rock out. Final word.
No, I'm good right now.
All right. Appreciate you, bro.
Appreciate
it. Travis, final thought.
If that Lance to the Vikings thing had any truth to it, if he went there, I know you had said he needs an opportunity where there isn't someone kind of breathing down his back. What would they do you think for a backup situation, or would he just go to compete for the job? Would they bring in Would they draft someone, or would they bring in a veteran, do you think, to go with him?
To go with if Lance went to Minnesota? I don't think you. Yeah, I don't think you. I mean, you could trade, like Eisen was saying, a third round pick or a fourth round pick. Let's say you were to do that.
So yeah, okay.
You could look at that 100 different ways. You could look at that like they could make this trade and then they could draft a quarterback that's better than Trey Lance and be like, well, we did that in case we didn't get the guy we want. We wanted to protect ourselves. We still very much like Trey Lance. We still very much think he could be a part of this team. But we definitely did that as our safeguard move, and then another door opened and we took it. It wouldn't shock me, but I would guess that they would be banking on him if they were to trade for him. I would guess.
Right. I was just curious because I know when we had talked about it before, you had said, like for Lance to succeed, he needs, to have a position where he's kind of doesn't have someone breathing down his neck, so to say, at times,
Yeah. All right.
Like you said, that's why the Cowboys is a perfect place for now. Obviously, if we had a chance to go start somewhere, that's a different story. But
yeah. For those of you saying we have neglected Rumble, I totally agree. I'm just trying not to neglect this channel ever. So, like, if anything's ever going to get neglected, it's not going to be the main channel. So, if, like, we go live a lot, news breaks, and I'm planning on going live again, or I do too many shows on the main channel, I'll never sacrifice the main channel. So, if news broke tonight, we would scrap the Dynasty Live probably, or at least the Rumble Live. I'd try and do one of them. But whenever we have time, I'm hitting both of them. So rumble.com/the Fantasy Football Show. It's a separate Rumble show. It has nothing to do with the YouTube shows. And then youtube.com/Dynasty Fantasy Football. All three, this channel, that channel, this channel, are all in my description. All right, Travis, we'll see you tonight.
All right,
later. Bye. And don't forget, guys, to watch this Dynasty show right here. I just did this last night. It's an hour and like 40-minute show on Bijan Robinson being the running back 1 overall in Dynasty. Go check it out. Don't miss it. That link again is in the description. It's youtube.com/Dynasty Fantasy Football. Now get out of here. See it tonight on the Dynasty channel, youtube.com/Dynasty Fantasy Football. And don't rule out the idea of us coming back tonight on this main channel if news breaks. Well, we go live. Look at the top of the screen. Live when big news breaks. Well, live whenever news breaks, we will go live. If something happens tonight, we're going live. That's how we do it. That's how Dad did it. That's how America does it. See you all tonight.